Hi, everybody. Here we go. Welcome to Dear Daisy, a podcast about secrets. I am Daisy. Let's see. This is it? Hold on. I'm looking at my calendar. Yes. This will be the last Dear Daisy of 2024. What happened to the year? Nobody knows. Everything is going by so quickly. It's crazy, right? How fast things are going. We were just chatting in the before times, just before we started recording, about my son and big baffling behaviors. And Ashley asked if the behaviors are like him punching kids in the face, which thank goodness it is not. We had a couple of weird, concerning instances when he was younger. He spit on a kid once at summer camp, which was very surprising. And he once, I think somebody had fallen down and he not kicked her, but put his foot on her. But no, there hasn't been any I think there is another kid in his class that's having some bigger issues, which honestly for me just sort of makes me feel a little better. I'm like, well, at least we're not there. And we're reading this book now called Smart But Scattered. It's tough because the shortcomings are all about not being able to fit into capitalism. And it's making me very uncomfortable that we've pathologized behaviors based on whether or not, somebody can ultimately make money. Right. And I keep thinking about why it's so important to have apprenticeships and to have benefactors. It used to be that artists had benefactors. And that's how they were able to afford to not go to the factory or whatever. And I guess nowadays a benefactor is just a trust fund, right? So if you are a trust fund kid, you have the luxury of being able to make art. And I hate to say it, but not that people who have a privileged life can't be artistic, but I think we all agree that a lot of art comes from trauma. And also not that all trust fund kids are untraumatized. Obviously, the Menendez brothers were trust fund kids and there's plenty of shit that goes on, but I don't know. I feel like it's rare that you see a trust fund kid come forward as some brilliant artist. You know what I mean? I don't know how he can be an artist, right? Unless we pay for his life. I don't know. I feel smart but scattered today. I learned basically that Monty's ADHD evaluation was trash. I have an STFU listener who had heard me talking about the results back in whatever that was, March. And she's like, hey, BTW, I'm an ADHD evaluator out in LA. She charges a bazillion, trillion dollars. And she's like, I'd be happy to look at your results and let you know what I think. So she went over mine, and of course, because I have ADHD, I don't remember anything she said. But then she looked at Monty's, and she was just glancing at this real quick, I hate the way this person writes, and they missed a few diagnoses. And also his school counselor, when we brought up the evaluation, she was like, yeah, which is great, because we paid a lot of money for it, or rather, my parents paid a lot of money for it. Thanks, parents. And I'm shocked that those tests are not objective. It's wild to me that tests can be a subjective thing, in my test, he read me a story and I was supposed to relay the story back to him. And then we did some other things and I was supposed to relay the story back to him again 3 times. And there was an error in the story and I kept bringing it up and I was laughing about it, making jokes about it. And there was nothing in my evaluation about my sense of humor, which, listen, that's a part of intelligence. And if you're not noting that, and the fact that Monty didn't even finish the spacebar test and he shut down and started crying and they didn't factor that in, as far as I could tell from reading it, which is isn't frustration, being able to push through frustration, a huge marker of ADHD? So anyway, this evaluator in LA was like, hey, you should come out, to LA and I'll test him. And so I'm considering it because it's I could spend the $1,500 here on God knows what, or I could just buy 2 flights and she could do it out of the kindness of her heart, because she's a lovely person, and I'll probably end up sending her some art or like a table or something. Somebody bought a table. Oh, it's so exciting. The power of marketing. So anyway, that's where we are today. And I am, Monty came home the other night. He was very tired. He was having a complete meltdown. He was saying, that he feels broken. And then he ate 2 meatballs and he was a different person. But, we're trying to relay to him that like, he's not broken, that the system is broken. We have to live in a system that's broken. And we're talking about trying to set up some sort of like retirement or some sort of money for him. But all of the banks, all of them are engaged in warmongering and war profiteering. All of them. There's no exception. And Kurt was like, well, that's why I'm with Schwab, because I think blah, blah, blah. And I did a simple Google search and I was like Schwab owns a lot of stock in Lockheed Martin. Like they are all complicit. And so are all the universities, and so are most of the corporate. Like my politician are what's it called here? Sheldon Whitehouse. Like Democrats love him. They're like, oh yeah, Sheldon Whitehouse. And I looked, and his biggest campaign contributor was the Israeli-American coalition. But the fact of the matter is if we want to set him up for success, we have no choice. We have to participate in this fucking system. And if he wants to succeed, then he's going to have to learn how to play their game. We were watching 8-Bit Christmas last night, which is a fun little Christmas movie. And at one point they're sitting in class and the teacher is teaching them the Dewey Decimal System. It's set in the late 80s. And she's saying, someday when you need to look something up, when you need some information, you're going to be really glad that you know this. And the joke is like, we spent all this time learning the Dewey Decimal System and now it's obsolete. And we just put in Google whatever we need and there it is. And like, I remember learning, I think I've talked about this before, learning about like Doric columns. Like, for what? I don't know. I don't know what to do. I don't know. And he's stressed about Christmas because I remember being stressed about Christmas when I was his age, because you're supposed to get people presents. But it's like, how and when? When you go to school, and he didn't save any of his allowance to buy presents, even though I've been reminding him for 6 fucking months. But that's also apparently a function of ADHD. That's the other thing, too, is that all of these things about ADHD, I'm like, these just sound like childhood. Like I'm reading and it's like, my kid is really smart, but their room is a mess. And I'm like, yeah, isn't that just being a kid? Like she went into her room to clean her room and like was trying to put her Barbies away and then started playing with them instead of cleaning up. I'm like, isn't that just being a kid? Like, I don't understand what. Yes, he needs to learn how to clean his room, but like, weren't all of our backpacks a mess? Like, I don't know anybody who just like came home and sat down and did their homework and their room was clean. Like, who is that? Yeah, you're not always going to have a calculator in your pocket. You need to learn algebra. Joke's on you. I saw a video that was titled like All Asian Kids. And it was this little girl. She must have been 5, and she comes home after school and like her afternoon is incredibly regimented, right? She like takes her shoes off and puts her house slippers on. And she goes upstairs and she takes her day clothes off and she puts them in the laundry and she puts her loungy clothes on and like washes her hands and cleans the sink and puts her, and and most of the comments were other Asian people being like, all Asian kids? Like, like somebody show this to my Asian kid who's been sitting and watching, YouTube for the past 4 hours and there are potato chips all over the couch. Like, anyway. Okay. Here is a long one. It's a longie but a goodie, I hope. This is from way back on my birthday. Forwarded to me on my birthday, not necessarily written to me on my birthday, but that just goes to show. Okay. Dear Daisy. Oh, this is fun. Do you want to hear? Oh, never mind. I thought it was a snarky email about my podcast, but it's not snarky. Oh, that's nice. She liked the Om Seti, and she said, you're really growing into your podcaster role. I'm glad to see you haven't entirely ditched the humor and sarcasm. Not entirely. I've leaned into it. And sarcasm and the obvious. I don't know what that means, but that's nice. Oh, happy solstice, happy Hanukkah. That's so nice. Refocusing. Dear Daisy, I've written to you before. I used a pseudonym last time, but you knew it was me immediately, so I'm not going to do that again. I do want to say that I did get really into baking this summer, so part of my first letter was correct. I will tell you, I think I remember. I will tell you it is November 2nd. I am deep in my work and my foot's hurt a lot, so why not write to my friend Daisy? I always think I'm going to pull out my typewriter and type out a letter to you, but I never want to wait for the letter to go from Canada to the USA. Well, letter writer, joke's on you, because it took me almost 2 months to read this. I want instant gratification. Oops, sorry. Also, to set the scene, I have my Broadway I'm in Love playlist song. Oh, I know who this is. I named it the Cure song. Last time I wrote to you, I was reading a book largely about divorce and stressed I was going to be alone forever. It was that hazy New Year's time where nothing was real. This time I'm writing to you because, okay, first let me set the scene. I did meet someone. For privacy's sake, let's say his name is Bob, because I know you think that name is funny. I, however, will be thinking about my 70-year-old ballet teacher. I met Bob in the audience of The Great Gatsby the musical, which I'm assuming none of the cast or crew are GBC supporters, so I feel safe in saying it is fine. It was so romantic. Like we were sitting one space away from each other and we hit it off right away. We basically talked all summer and I sent Bob my books because the man reads. And did I have a copy of my first, or did I have to order a copy? The latter. And when I think about this, it's a full body cringe sitch, but I included a letter telling him how much I liked him. And Bob never mentioned it. We flirted a lot, but when work started to get heavy, I was like, I need space, because I did need space. But like this one man has turned me into a dithering moron. And I was thinking about him so much, and that stupid letter. Okay, I lost track of what I was saying, but that's also because Ilana came on from She Loves Me, and I had to take a second to mourn sweet Gavin Creel. Aww. Remind me, listeners, or people who are in the Zoom, to tell you my Gavin Creel story after this. I really thought I ate with that letter. I was having a Delulu girl summer. Okay, back to Bob. He's just a confusing man. He's super hot and cold. You know, logically, I need to cut him out of my life, unfollow him on Insta, and delete his number. My friend keeps saying he's not the guy for me, and I get that. This friend somehow knows me better than I know me, and we've never met in person. I know I like clear plans and communication. I only sent that damn letter because I thought he felt the same way, and then he never mentioned it and kept flirting with me, and I always just flirt back because I'm horrible at boundaries. My friend says I should cut him off. They hate Bob with a fiery passion. I can't bring myself to feel the same way. Deep down, I'm worried that this is the only person out there for me. We are so similar and got along so well, but it was just one night at an okay show. Jeremy Jordan, sweetie, I am so sorry. And maybe I'm trying to make something happen that isn't there. I don't know what I'm trying to get at here. I don't have any real relationship experiences, and this was a lot for me. Writing that eye roll emoji, fucking letter, eye roll emoji, was the first real time I decided to try to get what I want, romantically speaking. And as friends get married and have kids, I'm scared about being left behind. BTW Sondheim went off with Maria, the quintessential love song, in my opinion, and if you disagree, let's fight about it. I think I'm trying to force something that isn't there. I don't know. I once again truly don't know why I think dumping on you will help. I need therapy. I hate feeling like a giggling schoolgirl when Bob messages me. It's been so long since I've even slightly liked someone, and it's awkward and not fun. I want him to see me the way he does in my head. I want him to like me so much. I guess maybe he does. This summer has been so stressful because of some other things, and this has been fun and terrible in equal measure. Why is submitting to the horrors of being known terrible every time? So I guess what I'm asking is, do you know anyone working on time travel so I can go back in time and not include that fucking letter? I always write these without a specific aim. I know I have to cut Bob off. I'm going to be alone forever, but I deserve better. But also, do I? Yes, maybe. Also, Jesus, I'm so sorry for the length again. I've tried to walk back the space thing, which was stupid, but this man is so confusing. I don't get him. I wish I could read minds. And I needed to concentrate on work, which has been killing me, thanks for asking. Is potential. How do I get over potential and thoughts and maybes? That's all it was, and I have to realize that. My imagination is too damn strong sometimes. I love you so much, Dee, even though we've never met, and it's super parasocial of me. Also, my love to the dogs. This is from Loud Pterodactyl Screams, She, They. I'm so sorry again if this is above your pay grade. I'm worried my issues are too much. Am I too much? Is that it? I can be a lot. Oh, sweet baby muffin. I know that there's at least one other person in the live audience right now who can relate to this heavily in terms of having something with somebody and them being really confusing and not sharing their feelings in a way that's clear and understandable. Yeah, Katie says, don't apologize for expressing what you feel / want ever. I know that feeling of like doing something and then just cringing about it over and over and over again. Listen, I'm going to say this, and it's, I think, scientifically true, and you can cancel me if you want, but men are emotionally stunted. Josh is nodding his head. I mean, look, I don't know. I don't want to sit here and speculate. I don't want to put more what ifs because you're sitting there with a whole bunch of what ifs in your head. But like, men have been socialized to be emotionally stunted for generations. Chris Denton agrees. The problem is you don't know this man well enough to know whether or not he's incapable, right? But like, from a female perspective, it's weird, right? To like express your feelings towards somebody and just have them sort of be like, nice butt back to you. You know what I mean? I was just watching that video that Kurt and I made at some point last year, whenever we made it, you know, of us sitting on the couch and I'm just like spinning out all these thoughts in my head. And then it pans over to him and he's not even thinking the word sandwich. He's just thinking of a picture of a sandwich. You know, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like we download our thoughts onto men and they think they're having a response that you understand, but like they're not having any response. My instinct is if your friends are telling you to cut him off, then I think you should cut him off. Ashton said, I once responded to I love you with I love toast. But in my defense, we had been dating for 5 days and I was high. Yeah, that's a fair defense. And Barry says it wasn't me. If your friends are telling you to cut him off, you know, they know you better than I do and they know the situation better than I do. But I will say, and this is maybe not good, but like part of my thinking is like, just ask him, you know, maybe you need to just say to him, like, did you get the letter that I sent you? I'm confused because like you didn't cut things off, but you also didn't say anything about it. So, do you want to respond to it at all? Like anything? But it also sounds like you were both in New York, and I know you don't live in New York. So do they live far away? Because then you're also just sort of setting yourself up for like, what are you going to do? Right? Is this person going to move to where you are? Are you going to move to where they are? It's hard, man. It's hard when you get that dopamine hit, right? Of like the flirting and they're paying attention to you and they're saying nice things and then they're just sort of not around anymore. I don't know. Barry says either be direct and ask or take the lack of response as an answer. I would say like maybe see it as an exercise of like, hey, we can just sort of have a fun flirty time because you don't live in the area anyway. But I know that's sort of easier said than done. And it might end up just hurting worse in the end. Yeah. Barry says, I feel bad, but I've been there desperately wanting the potential of something that doesn't work out pretty much ever. You've romanticized it to a point. Like you have built this person up in your head and you really have no idea who he is. And also because you are a writer and a romantic, and you've definitely built this person into something that he's not. So, you know, in some ways you're just having a relationship with yourself, you know? Maybe this is your signal to treat yourself better. Maybe say kinder words to yourself. Maybe the things that you want to hear from him are the things that you need to hear from yourself. The call is coming from inside the house. Yeah, you're fabulous, Katie says. And Katie says she's the hottest date she's ever had. And Barry, the therapist, agrees with me emphatically. I don't know. You know, it's like reading Jane Austen novels and pining for that sort of... I mean, listen, I'm not a Jane Austen fan. I feel like I'm the only person on the planet that doesn't like Jane Austen, but I just sort of don't get it. And everyone's like, ooh, it was of a time. I'm like, I don't really care. Like, it was of a time, but like she was promoting this idea of bullshit romance. Ashton says Jane Austen bores me to tears. Yeah, I read it in high school and then again in college, and I was like, I don't like this. This is just people having tea and not knowing each other, but wanting to get married. I don't get it. Like, I don't care. But that being said, we romanticize these, these relationships, and they're not real. Unless you're some society woman from the 1900s or whatever the fuck, whenever Jane Austen was, who has to marry the first eligible suitor that comes along because that's like what they did. But that's not what life is. and you're a queen. God damn it. The bar is too low, man. The bar is too low. And your bar is too low. Yeah. Katie says if he wanted to, he would, which is true. I mean, he could just be incredibly shy or something. I don't know. And then Barry says the writer is saying that they're ugly and all these other things about themselves that aren't kind. And a partner won't fix that type of self-talk. And that you deserve to build up your self-esteem. Yeah. You need to be saying the things to yourself that you want him to be saying to you, is basically it. Listen, I don't necessarily subscribe to like, no one will love you until you love yourself. But I think you need to give yourself a hug, instead of hoping to get one from him. Katie the troll says, okay, here's what you do. Catfish yourself. Shut up. You doofus. It's hard as the loved one or the friend of the person going through this, because you are screaming like, cut them off, cut them out, block them. And you understand that it's hard to do that. And I know, that thing of like, I'll never find anybody else. This was my last chance. But like, that's not true. I also think that shows like Love is Blind and The Bachelor and all these love shows and The Ultimatum, like, are placing a value on romantic relationships, I think, that are not necessarily realistic. Like, yes, romantic relationships are wonderful and like, but I do also think that some people are designed better for, platonic, like deep friendship relationships. And that's not to say that you're asexual. I mean, clearly you have like desires and stuff, but I don't know. This idea that like being in love and getting married is like the pinnacle of, like your life or something I don't think it's necessarily healthy, And I bet that you have friends who look at you and are like, you're so awesome, but like, it's like you don't hear that because it's not coming from a romantic partner, You don't need to love yourself to find love, but it is hard to find love when you hate yourself. And I don't know that you hate yourself, writer, but I do think that you have placed your self-worth somewhere a little too high up for you to reach, And I think you need to go get a step stool and like get it down, dust it off, and put it somewhere within reach, Put it in a little vial around your neck and carry it with you. I don't know what I'm saying. All right. Katie's continuing. Here we go. Set up a profile of a dreamy hottie and send yourself beautifully written messages. Actually, they have AI for this now. I don't know if you've seen this, but they actually you can get an AI partner. And then you ghost catfish you and be like, listen, imaginary Gerald, I don't need anyone because I'm a hot commodity. Yeah, you can get AI partners to like, I think, call you and leave messages or whatever. I don't know. We're all doomed. Listen, writer, when we start the commune, you're first on the list. Okay. This is a little long, but what do you think? Should I do one more? Okay. Dear Daisy, content warning, discussion of a dog passing peacefully, also brief mention of American politics. In 2023, my little king was 15 years old. I had him for 10 years. He was the first big thing I did as a grown-up, and we called him Sneeze. He kept me safe, he kept me stable, and I took care of him. He was and is my heart. He developed canine cognitive disorder, and my little man slowly forgot who I was. Oh. But I remembered, and I took care of him. At night, when he started to sundown, there was one thing that always soothed him, and that was this podcast. I like to think it's because even if he didn't remember me, he still remembered that he loved strong, queer Jewish folks. Maybe he just liked Kurt's guitar. And whenever I put this podcast on, he would stop pacing, his muscles would relax, and he would be still. I don't have words to communicate the gratitude I hold for you for giving him this peace when I could not. Sneeze passed after Thanksgiving 2023 in his papa's arms, before he had the chance to forget him too. He was never alone. It was the only choice, and it broke me. I had to put away this podcast for a long time. Oh. Fast forward to one day after Election Day 2024, I was drinking a bottle of wine, as one does, contemplating my future, and I decided it was time. If I am to survive the next 4 years, I need to keep busy and surround myself with joy. My new puppy was waiting for me in a rescue with her little mates, and I took her home 4 weeks later. We call her Jaja, and she fills my home with joy and tiny puncture wounds. I found my way back here during the indeterminate stretches of time spent shivering in the December cold with a treat cocked in my fist, begging Jaja to pee so we can go play by the fire. I hear your voice, Kurt's guitar, and the soft shuffle of papers, and it reminds me of my grief, but also my joy. I am healing. I have a lot of fear and uncertainty as we move into the future, but I will not move through it alone. When I listen to these letters, I feel a community of people like me, people who are strong, who are healing, who are broken, and who are fighting. With this letter, I wish to honor you for what you did for my little Sneeze and the people who walk with me on our uncertain paths. We are strong, we are healing, and we are not alone. Thank you, Daisy. Well, I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say. Everybody's crying. Wow. Listen. People write in and they're like, you really helped me. You really got me through a hard time. You helped me not want to kill myself. And for some reason, making the dog feel better is the thing that got me. Wow. Thank you. People are flawed. Dogs are innocent. Thank you for sharing that with me. I feel really fortunate, you know? I'm really grateful to Ellen for leaning over during that panel at the event that shall not be named, you know, and suggesting that I make this podcast. You know, we thought it was going to be fart jokes, and, you know, we've had some fart jokes. We have. Yeah, thanks, Ellen. But I really had no idea that it was going to be like this. And I'm talking about maybe putting together a book, you know, a strange and unexplained book. My sort of book agent kind of was like, well, I think Strange and Unexplained has a larger audience than Dear Daisy. You know, it has a built-in audience. But honestly, I think about publishing. I'm more interested in publishing a Dear Daisy book just because of how much community this podcast has made and how grateful I am, you know, to everybody for being here and for trusting me and for listening to me and for making me a part of your lives and for being a part of my life. Barry says it would be like a better chicken soup for the soul. I mean, you know, I think about like tiny beautiful things or whatever the Dear Sugar, is that what it's called? Book. You know, I think of her as like way better than me at doing this. But maybe that's because she got an HBO show out of it. Anyway, cream of mushroom soup from a can for the soul. Oh my God. Episode title. All right. Wow. Thank you, everybody. Oh, I was going to tell you the Gavin Creel thing, which is just that I had a dream that he was alive. And I went up to him. I was like, what happened? And he was like, I came back to life. He was like, I died for a little bit and then I came back to life. And he was with Celia Keenan Bolger in my dream, who I know, I've known for a long time. And she's an actor. She won the Tony for Mockingbird. And she was in Spelling Bee and a bunch of things. And anyway, she was his death doula. And I was saying to her in my dream, you need to write this book. This needs to be a book. And I was like, I'll help you. And then I was like, trying to explain to her that I wasn't trying to like profit off of that. I just wanted to like help her get this out on paper. I don't know. That was my dream. Anyway, I think I've always been disappointed that she and I aren't friends. And I feel like I've tried, but she is not interested. So it's fine. It's okay. I'm not for everyone. You know? Whoop. Oh, I've already had her, but I've already had her. I don't know if I should do her again or pick somebody else. What do you think? What does anybody think? Should I just do her again? Yeah? Okay. All right, we're going to do her again. These cards were given to me by my sister, Maeve, several Christmases ago, I believe. You see? And I got them and I thought like, oh, I don't know what to do with these. Like, they're so beautiful, but like, what do I do with them? And then they became the thing, right? For this. And I am running out, as we know, but I do have the Seed and Sickle Oracle deck from Barry and the Tarot of the Divine, which was sent to me anonymously. And then I have the Nap Ministry Rest deck from Barry as well. Anyway, we have Uzume, the Goddess of Laughter, which feels, I think, appropriate. She's wearing a yellow and green kimono that's like red on the inside. Her pendulous breasts are out, and she's holding bells in one hand and some sort of, I don't know if it's like holly or something with ribbon. And she's wearing a headdress of like gold. She's standing on like a basket, like a woven basket or something, an ottoman with like, I don't know what that is behind her, bamboo or something. Uzume, Goddess of Laughter. Oh, wow. Uzume. Before the rock cave of heaven, where Amaterasu Omikami, the sun goddess, had hidden her radiant face. I think this refers back to last week's card as well. Where all the assembled gods and goddesses had tried and failed to lure her out, I stepped up to the cave with utmost seriousness, with grave determination, with proper decorum and a lofty mien, and with a bump and a bump and a bump, 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 lifted my kimono and revealed myself in ways that caused the mouths of the exalted ones to water and fall open. Then I played puppet with my labia and paid myself a little lip service. I heaved my breast over one shoulder, and then the other over the other, and landed on my ass with a bump and a bump and a bump, 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 amidst the explosions of laughter and merriment of the esteemed crowd. With breasts tied in a knot, my legs spread like a welcome mat, I called in the spirits and offered them my body, and they refused to take it. The crowd howled and laughed as I continued my dance, till Amaterasu Omikami couldn't stand it any longer and rushed out to see what was what. And thus did laughter with the sun goddess from her dark cave, and bring light and warmth back into the world. Mythology. Uzume, ancient Japan's shaman goddess, is credited as being the one to entice the sun goddess Amaterasu Omikami out of the cave where she was hidden. Uzume did a body dance making fun of shamanic ritual. She exposed her breasts, and she played with her genitals amidst the howls of laughter of the deities assembled. So loud and enticing was the uproar she created that Amaterasu's curiosity got the better of her and she came out from her cave. Meaning of the card. Uzume brings her comic dance in your life to tell you it is time to nurture wholeness with laughter. Laughter causes us to relax, enables us to gain perspective, helps ease us through difficulties. Have you been taking life too seriously? When is the last time you had a good laugh? Are you able to laugh at yourself in a gentle way? Perhaps life is challenging you with such ferocity that you find it hard to see the humor in your present situation. Uzume says that wholeness is gained when you choose to laugh and see the humor in all of life's challenges. I think it's really, really, really important for all of us to remember, especially in this coming year, to laugh, okay? Because I think we're heading into some difficult, rocky times. And if we cannot find ways to be happy and be kind to ourselves and love ourselves, we'll be in trouble. I saw this post from this, actor / activist guy who was basically just like, now's not the time to like sing songs and make art. Like now's the time to like disrupt and fuck shit up and resist. And I disagree. I think now more than ever is the time to make art and sing songs and play with your labia, because that's the only fucking way we're going to get through this bullshit. Okay. Ashley says, good job, Maeve, in sending me this deck. Katie says, Azume is my bish. Katie says, get them dangle tits out, you giggle bitch. Respect is clear. Not the lip service, ma'am. Read my lips. Ooh, yeah. Barry says it feels appropriate for the solstice to bring the sun back out. We are back in the days are getting longer. So that's fun. Happy winter solstice. Azume is my goddess. Y'all gonna watch me diddle this doodle, says Josh. Katie says, I turned this vulva into a Muppet. And motherfucker, so get your sunshine ass out. Revolution needs glitter. Bingo, yes. Oh, goodness. What a time to be alive. Didn't I hear little feet? Monty, come in. Come here.
Yeah.
Hey, it's the winter solstice.
Yeah.
And also that means the days are getting longer.
Yeah.
And do you want to say anything to anybody?
Oh, God.
The pressure, huh?
Yeah. The longer the day, the more you can have fun and have a better life.
Hey, that was perfect. That was awesome. Those are cool pants. Where did those come from?
My closet.
Hey, look what happens when you look in your closet. We got to do an audit of that thing. I love you. Wow. Listen, I think you're all amazing, and goddess bless little Sneeze, and may Sneeze be frolicking in the fields in the sky. Thank you so much. I'm gonna print that letter out, and I'm gonna frame it, and I'm gonna put it up to remind myself of the things that I do. I actually thought about doing that on this, what is this called? Canvas back here, is printing out some of the good stuff and pasting it. All right. I love you all. Happy all the things, and Happy New Year, which is coming. Just fucking hold on and laugh as much as you can. And that's it. I'll see you next year. Dear Daisy is a production of Grab Bag Collab and is brought to you by the generous patronage of our members. Amanda Rossman is my editor. Amanda and Amber Hunt are my partners in crime. Music was composed and performed by Kurt Bloom. If you have an idea for a limited series podcast that you'd like to talk to Grab Bag about, email us at grabbagcollab@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram at grabbagcollab. Follow me at Dear Daisy Pod and Daisy Eagan. You can send me an anonymous email via Google Docs. The link is on our website, Patreon page, and social media. Remember that actual letters sent through the mail take priority, and I will send you something back as soon as I get my shit together, so write to me old-fashioned like at P.O. Box 10221, Cranston, Rhode Island, 02910. Help us out by spreading the word about our podcasts, and remember to drink water, rest, and be kind.